Stanley tumblers. Lamar, you've got a Stanley tumbler, right? I think Mary has one.
Yes, I
Bob.
do. Yes, I do.
Bridget
does.
might have
Yep.
one. Well, I just can't even hardly say it. Did you know that you can pack your whole Thanksgiving Day dinner into a Stanley tumbler and take it on the go? Yes, you can. And here's how.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Here's how you do it. Ready? Step 1, remove the straw because you won't need it. And you really want, especially when you're eating your whole Thanksgiving dinner out of your Stanley tumbler, you really, really want everything nice and warm. So pour hot water into the empty cup and let it sit for 5 minutes. That'll kind of, preheat and charge the cup for you. And after you dump the water, here comes dinner. Now, you definitely want to make sure that all the food you put into the Stanley tumbler is hot. So you're going to have them, because they're tall and narrow, you're going to have repeating layers. So first we're going to go potatoes, and then casserole, then turkey, then some vegetables, and then drizzle some gravy. And then the next layer of potatoes, casserole, turkey, vegetables, drizzle some gravy. One more time, everybody. Potatoes, casserole, turkey, vegetables, drizzle some gravy. Seal it up. And Stanley says, if you do it this way, you can enjoy every bite. You won't have to dig to the bottom of the tumbler to reach a particular dish. You are welcome. Enjoy. Now, this sounds crazy, right? It does sound crazy.
It sounds nasty.
But what if, like years ago, my niece, when she was living with me, she had a job where she had to work Thanksgiving night. And I drove a plate of Thanksgiving dinner over to her job so that she could have Thanksgiving dinner. Those days are gone, folks. Do you have a friend or a family member, maybe a nurse, that's got to be on shift Thanksgiving night, and you don't want them to miss out on the tasty treats? You make them Thanksgiving in a Stanley tumbler. Would you eat it?
Good.
Because it sounds okay. I mean, honestly, it sounds pretty good.
Well, if I was
one
all
of those
alone,
bowls, it's like a bowl thing that you
I
get.
guess. Yeah, I guess so. It's too much, and it's just. How was your holiday meal? Oh, it was great, man. Me and the tumbler. Would that not be the saddest? Would that not be the saddest Thanksgiving of all time, though? Seriously.
No. There's no sadder Thanksgiving than being the divorced dad at the Cracker Barrel.
That is true. That I've been there with that. Not Cracker Barrel, but what's the other one? Golden Corral.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, remember when you and I used to have to work all day and all night on Thanksgiving? We would do a parade, and then we would go do a big tree lighting at the mall.
Tree lighting. Yeah.
And most Thanksgiving dinners for me during that stretch of my life came from Jack in the Box. So as I sit here and think about it, if somebody handed me a nice warm Stanley tumbler packed with mashed potatoes and gravy, that would be pretty good. Yeah.
Just put your face right on it and the whole thing is done. Kids, you each get a Stanley tumbler. That's the good news.
But you know what? You know what I kind of love about this? When I first read it, I was like, oh my God, no way, you've got to be kidding. But the more I sat with it, the more I loved it. Because for people that get Thanksgiving dinner to go, it's a bunch of Tupperware. And you got to carry it, you got to deal with it. This is a spoon or a fork, or I think you should really be efficient and do a spork. This is a spork and a Stanley tumbler, and you're eating like the Pilgrims. I just don't see any negative here.
One of those expandable utility, what do you call them?
Oh, like the camping forks that have all the different.
Yes. Right, that's what you need. Yeah. That would work pretty good.
You read it once.
I don't believe that.
And then you read it again.
I can't believe this.
It's Bob and Sheri's.
I don't believe this.
I cannot believe this.
This is an example of how, you just do things in life and you never really give it much thought. I'm on the phone with one of my girls and we're talking about Thanksgiving, which is next Thursday, of course. And we're figuring out work schedules and all that. When can she get here? How long can she stay? And she's like, oh my God, Mom, this is so complicated. Why is Thanksgiving even on this date? And without even thinking, I said, oh, it's always the fourth Thursday of November. And she was like, "Ugh, who made that rule? Abraham Lincoln." So I decided, you know what? If I ever knew why Thanksgiving was the fourth Thursday of the month, I've forgotten it. So I decided that I would do a dive. Do any of you know right off the top of your head why it's always the fourth Thursday of the month?
Well,
No idea.
I think at one time it was moved, I think, during the Roosevelt administration to make it a little bit sooner so the shopping period was longer.
That makes sense.
It's kind of crazy. It goes, let's go back to October 3rd, 1789, when President George Washington said that the nation will celebrate a day of public Thanksgiving on November 26th that year. November 26th, 1789 did happen to fall on a Thursday, but in years after that, other presidents chose completely different days and even months. Like some would do it in October, some would do it in November. And then in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln did issue a proclamation stating that Thanksgiving would be celebrated every year on the last Thursday in November. Now, we don't know why George Washington chose a Thursday for the first Thanksgiving. They think that it happened because Thursday was just far enough from the weekend that it wouldn't overlap with the Sabbath, which many, many colonists observed. So even for President George Washington, Thursday was the gateway to the weekend. And it was super common back then for Puritan ministers to give religious lectures on Thursday afternoons. I know nothing kicks my weekend off like a Puritan yelling at me in the town square. But that became sort of like a vibe, like, oh, we get yelled at on Thursdays. Why don't we tie that in with a feast of Thanksgiving? Anyway, Max is right. We're coming to President Roosevelt. It was the last Thursday of November until 1939, when Thanksgiving fell on the last day of November. So America was bogged down in the Great Depression, and President Franklin D. Roosevelt decided that it would be good for the economy if we could celebrate a week earlier, which, to your point, Max, would lengthen the holiday shopping season. Retailers and merchants loved this. And so President Roosevelt issued a presidential proclamation shifting Thanksgiving to the second to last Thursday, but not all the states agreed. So, and here's something I bet you didn't know. From 1939 to 1941, a deeply divided America celebrated two Thanksgivings based on where you lived in the country. Did you know that?
Didn't know that.
I could see that
Isn't
happening
that
now,
cool?
to be honest with you.
Yeah. So 1941, here comes Congress to try to resolve the chaos. And in this instance, I think they kind of did. They came up with a joint resolution saying that the entire United States of America would celebrate Thanksgiving on just one day. The House chose the last Thursday in their original document, but then the Senate was like, we cannot agree to that because we refuse to agree to anything. And the Senate submitted an amendment saying the fourth Thursday instead, which covers years when November has 5 weeks. President Roosevelt signed it into law on December 26, 1941. And that, my little Puritans, is why Thanksgiving is always on the fourth Thursday in November.
There you go. Very nice.
Sign up for our newsletter. We never spam you.
Never did.
Get Bob and Sheri exclusives. Just go to bobandsheri.com.
This is, according to the TSA, the busiest Thanksgiving travel season on record. I want you to think about that
is
for
that
a
right?
second. Yeah,
Yeah.
on record. They are expecting starting today. So if you're heading to the airport right now, heads up, give yourself some extra time because TSA says between today and Monday, we are going to screen more than 18 million people. And the three busiest days are going to be today, tomorrow, and Sunday of this week.
Mhm.
Today, they're looking at nearly 3 million people coming through the airport. So if that's you, you need to get there early. I know that you hear this and you roll your eyes and you think it's just like, oh, nervous Nellies like making a fuss. the last time I was at the airport, it was not the busiest travel week of the year. And the security lines, it was like we were buying Taylor Swift tickets. They were wrapped around the airport terminal. Max saw it too. So I know I didn't imagine it.
Nope.
So yes, if you're heading to the airport right now, today, tomorrow, and Sunday are the busiest days.
Well, let me give you another couple of things to think about. Let's say that you're heading to the airport and you're taking whatever your side is, or maybe you're carrying the turkey or whatever. TSA wants to make sure that travelers enjoy Thanksgiving, but they got to share the guidelines for which holiday foods can be brought on the plane and which needs to be packed in a checked bag. I never knew this was an option. Okay, I didn't. But according to airport security, and they're expecting all these people, travelers can transport certain solid food items for the holiday in their carry-on. Now, this includes pies, cakes, stuffing mix, and casseroles. That also means that popular Thanksgiving foods such as marshmallows and sweet potatoes, they can be brought on as a carry-on, and your turkey. You can bring your turkey as a carry-on. Okay.
Cooked or raw, or it doesn't matter.
I don't want
It
to
doesn't
eat
matter.
that house.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. And you can bring any kind of stuffing concoctions that you've made as well, can come in your carry-on. However, Thanksgiving dinner accompaniments such as cranberry sauce, gravy, and wine all need to be packed in a check bag. According to TSA, they are not solids. So basically,
I always pack my gravy in a check bag. I'm adamant about that.
it's always here's how it goes. Basically,
you're so stuck up sometimes.
I have a little pouch. I have a special. I call it the gravy pouch. It's the gravy pouch.
if you can spill it, spray it, spread it, pump it, or pour it, then it's not a solid, and it's got to be packed in a check bag. I mean, there's no going back from that.
Lamar, I got to believe that where you're going, if they have an airport, and they'd have to have one because you have to land. I got to believe there's a store not that far from the airport where you can get the gravy or the turkey.
I don't know. TSA also wanted to point out that Thanksgiving is not a time to bring your electric carving knife or a regular knife in the carry-on. Okay, if you've got your carving knife, and this applies to corkscrews. You can't bring your corkscrew. And so now here's the one I love. As for ice, TSA advises following the 3-1-1 rule. 3.4 ounces, 1 quart-size bag, and 1 bag per passenger. That's the 3-1-1 rule. According to TSA, to abide by the guideline, the ice needs to remain frozen if you bring it. Okay? If it's going to thaw out, then you cannot bring it.
But that's what ice do. That is what ice do. That's the only work ice has is to thaw out.
Leave us a talk back with the free Bob and Sheri app.
I think I'm going to be traveling by car to see my grandchildren, and that'll be probably a couple of days before Christmas because I know they have plans. And then Mary and I think, are going to be traveling to see my silver best friend, Jeff, who has been fighting some illnesses, and I have not seen him for a long time. And we're going to try to snare a flight to Palm Springs, California for New Year's Day. I have traveled on New Year's Day before, and it has been fantastic because a lot of folks are partying the night before and they ain't moving the next day. I've even had some experiences where the plane was not filled, which is unusual these days. So those are my plans for the holidays. How about you all? You going to be jumping into what I just described?
I'm not. How about you, Max and Lamar?
No, I'm not traveling this year. Because of changes with family and where people live and everything else. I won't be traveling for the holidays for the first time in a long time, and so I'm actually kind of looking forward to just staying put.
We're going to do a little running, not a whole lot. For Thanksgiving, Carla and Alex they're flying to Las Vegas. Alex has got some sort of veterinary clinic or something, continuing education. And the fact that it came up Vegas, that was the end of that for Carla. She's like, yep, yeah, you wash the dishes, I'm gone. Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving. So,
the day after. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
the day after.
That's
yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, so
that's a
it'll be
busy
me and
day,
Darby.
according to my report. That's a very busy day. The day after
I bet
Thanksgiving.
it is.
Yeah,
I bet it is. But yeah,
I haven't traveled. I haven't traveled for the holidays, and I can't even remember the last time I traveled for the holidays. Yeah, I can't ever get enough time off from work. I can't really go west for Thanksgiving. I can't get enough days off. And my brother and his wife, they have a Thanksgiving tradition. It's really special. I don't know how many other families do this, but every Thanksgiving they like to celebrate with a gastrointestinal virus. And so I have elected to not join them after experiencing that tradition a handful of times.
I remember that. I remember you talking about that years ago, and it happened more than once, didn't it?
Yep. The worst of it for me was before I had my own children. I had gone up and, we did the usual, all the traditional things: turkey, cranberry sauce, stuffing, gastrointestinal virus. And I had to get back to work. I literally had Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday off, and I had to get back to work for Monday. And I'm driving. It's 900 miles between me and my brother's house. I am driving and I am so sick. I'm on Interstate 95 South. I am so sick that I'm like holding the wheel and saying to God, we have two choices here. I find the nearest Days Inn, or you take me right now in a horrific car accident, because I can't drive. I'm throwing up. I'm feverish. I ended up all alone in a hotel room for days, too sick. I mean, crawling to the bathroom. This is when I worked in television. Called my boss in television. Was like, I am in a Days Inn in Virginia. I can't even drive. I'm so sick. And he goes, well, have you had some Sprite? No, I haven't. I forgot.
That's
I forgot.
a typical management question in a situation like this. Yeah.
I forgot that Sprite cures everything. My bad, 100%.